Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered what connects ancient wisdom, some pretty harrowing real-life adventures, and even the nature of friendship, both human and, well, divine? Today, we're really diving deep to pull back the curtain on what it truly means to live a life of, profound conviction.
That's right. And our mission today is to pull out some crucial insights from a really unique set of sources. We've got a pastor's reflections on biblical wisdom, his own personal stories from dangerous mission fields, and some deep thoughts on God's friendship. Basically, we want to give you a shortcut to understanding how your perspective shapes your destiny, and also the surprising ways ordinary lives can, well, connect with the extraordinary.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
We're kicking things off by exploring that ancient wisdom piece, looking at what true character, what genuine piety really looks like.
Yeah, so our sources start us off with insights from Proverbs, that ancient collection of practical wisdom.
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 to 19, lists 7 things that are really detested. Things like proud eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart devising wicked plans, feet running quickly to evil, a false witness, and someone sowing discord. Pretty serious stuff. And then right after, verses 20 to 22, they contrast this by encouraging us to cherish parental teachings, saying they offer guidance, preservation in daily life. It's really about having a heart that consistently chooses good over evil.
That makes sense. Yeah, distinguishing actions that destroy from wisdom that preserves. And this whole idea of discerning true character, it leads into a powerful analogy in our sources. The difference between fake Christians and true Christians.
Right.
Likening it to counterfeit money. Fake bills might pass around for a while, but eventually the bank catches them, right? And they're worthless. It kind of makes you stop and think. Can someone live their whole life thinking they're the real deal, only to find out they were, counterfeit at the end?
It's a really stark analogy, isn't it? Really drives home the point about genuine internal change. And that ties directly into the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. That's in Luke 18. So the Pharisee, he stands up, prays loudly, thank God I'm not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he boasts about fasting twice a week, tithing everything. But his prayer just screams self-righteousness. There's no real self-reflection there. He was basically performing faith.
Performing it,
Yeah.
Okay. And the tax collector, how did he pray?
Totally different. He stood way off, wouldn't even look up to heaven, just beat his chest and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. It was his humility, his honest awareness of his own sin, his plea for mercy. That's what led to his justification. He went home counted as righteous. The Pharisee didn't. It's a timeless blueprint, really.
That's such a clear difference.
Yeah, the difference between just performing faith and actually possessing it starts with honesty about our own inner brokenness.
Okay, possessing faith rooted in humility. How does that connect to the idea of being poor in spirit, that phrase from the Beatitudes?
Exactly, yeah. Poor in spirit from Matthew 5.3. It doesn't mean like emotionally empty or broke. It means acknowledging you're powerless on your own, that you completely rely on God. And the kingdom of God, it values that character trait way more than worldly power or military strength or, economic success.
Right, so it's the opposite of leaders just trying to build bigger, visible empires.
Precisely. Think of figures seeking power through force or wealth. God's blessings here, they're based on who you are inside, not what you do or what you own on the outside. And our sources break this down further into 3 types of Christians. It really helps clarify. First, the failed Christian. This is someone who calls themselves Christian but doesn't really self-reflect. They might easily fall into habitual lying.
Like little white lies.
Yeah, but the casual kind. Not maybe the compassionate one told to spare someone deep distress, like telling a terminally ill 90-year-old her pain is just bone spurs, not cancer.
Yeah.
The danger is in the casual habitual lies, the ones we tell to get out of commitments, things like that. They erode our sense of truth. Then second, you've got the half-Christian. This person sees they're doing wrong, but they don't actually change their behavior. The source uses this really vivid image of a gambler who cuts off his fingers to stop gambling.
Oh, wow.
But then just starts gambling with his feet. They know it's sin, but they're stuck. No real transformation.
Stuck? Okay.
And finally, number 3, the good Christian. This person truly sees the wrongdoing.
Yeah.
They experience repentance, and that means both regret and actual change. Often involves admitting it, making things right, and they stay vigilant, try not to repeat the mistake. There's this powerful example given. Former triad leader, organized crime.
Right.
He chose an honest life. Started painting, earning maybe 2,000 NTD a day. That's Not much, especially in harsh conditions. But he chose that over his old life. He found real peace, even tithed from those honest earnings. This guy, not outwardly rich, he embodies being poor in spirit, humility, obedience, real change.
That's quite a journey, from superficiality to genuine transformation. Okay, so we've looked at the interstate, individual character. Let's shift gears now and talk about friendship, specifically contrasting human relationships with this incredible idea of being friends with God.
Right. Human friendships. They're essential, obviously, but they can get complicated. They have pitfalls. Think about Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar. At first, they did something amazing. They just sat with him in silence for 7 days.
Shared his grief.
Yeah, that's powerful empathy.
It was, but then they started talking, and they became, as the source puts it, emotional blackmailers. Pushing Job to confess some hidden sin they assumed must be the cause of his suffering. They had no clue about God's bigger picture at the test. So instead of helping, they just added to his burden. Misguided comfort. That's rough. And the other example, Rehoboam.
Yes. Rehoboam's rotten teammates. So Rehoboam is Solomon's son, about to be king. The people come to him and say, basically, your dad worked us really hard. Can you lighten the load? He asks the older guys, his father's advisors, to say, yeah, serve the people, be humble. Wise counsel.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
But then he has his childhood buddies, the young guys he grew up with, and they give him this incredibly arrogant advice. Tell him to say, my little finger is thicker than my father's loins. Basically, I would be way tougher than my dad. He even threatened using scorpions instead of whips.
Ouch. Not a good look.
Terrible. And that prideful decision, listening to his arrogant friends instead of the wise elders, it directly caused the kingdom of Israel to split in two, north and south. A total catastrophe. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? How bad advice, even from friends, can wreck things.
Definitely a lesson in choosing who you listen to. It really shows how fragile human relationships can be. But then, what about a friendship that goes beyond all that? The thing that really grabs me here is this, well, mind-blowing idea of God as a confidant, a bosom friend.
It is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And the sources point specifically to God's relationship with Moses and Abraham. Think about Moses' life. He grew baby safe from the river, Egyptian prince for 40 years, then a shepherd for another 40, just incredible. And at the burning bush, God reveals his name. I am WHO.
Yeah.
I am his eternal nature.
Right.
But even after Moses got incredibly angry, remember the golden calf incident? The Israelites made an idol. Moses smashed the stone tablets, commanded the Levites, the priestly tribe, to kill 3,000 people involved.
Yeah.
Pretty hard action.
Even very decisive.
Yeah. Yet even after that, God still considered Moses a confidant, allowed him to intercede for the people. Moses even offered his own life for theirs. It shows God's understanding is just, beyond our human judgment. And Abraham, too, was called God's friend. God actually told Abraham his plan to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah beforehand. Yeah. Which led to Abraham bargaining with God. You know, what if there are 50 righteous people, 40, 30? That kind of back and forth shows incredible intimacy. Wow. Okay, so if God can have that kind of relationship with Moses and Abraham, how do we fit in? Ordinary people, it feels almost too big to grasp, being God's friend. It's a great question. And Jesus gives us the key in John 15, verse 14. You are my friends if you do what I command. The sources explain it like this. Jesus kind of downgrades himself, bridges that huge gap between divine and human to become our friend. And this divine friendship, it has like 4 key parts. First, it's a teacher-peer relationship. It's not just master-servant. It's more like an intimate master-apprentice model. The term used is shuzi. Jesus walks with us. He wants us to internalize his teachings, not just obey orders.
Okay, like learning alongside him.
Exactly. Second, it involves elevation. Friendship lifts us up from being ignorant servants to being confidants. We get to understand the Father's thoughts, his plans. Our view of the kingdom gets much broader, insights we wouldn't otherwise have. Third, and this is crucial, it's God's initiative. John 15:18, you did not choose me, but I chose you. The source connects this to how this whole podcast ministry came about. The AI tools, translations, the team growing. The pastor says he didn't plan it. It was God leading. It shows this friendship is a gift, not something we earn or start.
So, initiated by God elevates us. What's the fourth aspect?
The fourth is its purpose. This friendship isn't like a blank check for, personal gain or getting rich or whatever. The purpose is to glorify God, to participate in his will, to be part of his plan for the world, not just focused on ourselves.
That really reframes the relationship, doesn't it? Not just worshipers, but friends sharing a purpose. Okay, let's transition now from the nature of this divine friendship to the, the real-world impact of deep faith. How conviction leads people into facing truly incredible dangers.
Yeah, and here our sources get very specific, sharing the real-life, harrowing experiences of Pastor Huji Kang during his 20 years doing mission work in northern Thailand.
Yeah.
Really intense stuff. First, there was a motorcycle accident. He was riding in the evening on this really steep dirt road, like 20, 35 degrees incline, heading to a place called Giadi Church.
Steep dirt road on a motorcycle. Sounds risky already.
Extremely. He fell to the right side. Miraculously, he only scraped his hand. But if he'd fallen to the left, there was a deep cliff right there, just a hair's breadth escape. It was so dangerous, apparently, that none of the Taiwanese co-workers dared ride that route again after hearing about it.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Next, a venomous snake encounter. He was at a remote tribal center for the Lahu people. It was right after his morning devotion, where he'd actually read about Moses' staff turning into a snake. He said he had the strong premonition. And then, boom, an arrow snake. Apparently highly venomous, super fast, aggressive, lunged at him from maybe only 20 or 30 centimeters away, like a foot away.
Good grief.
He just instinctively dodged it. But think about the vulnerability. The nearest hospital was 75 kilometers away in Chiang Rai. That's like an hour-and-a-half drive. And out there, no car readily available, probably no phone signal. A bite could easily have been fatal just due to the remoteness.
Yeah, the isolation makes any emergency critical. That's terrifying. Was there more?
Oh, yeah. The most perilous one seems to be the rebel base infiltration. He went into a place called Mung Mai, near the Myanmar border. It was a guerrilla base, home to about 4,000 Burmese rebels. And these guys apparently forcibly conscripted local villagers. Not a friendly place.
Entering a rebel base.
Voluntarily, yeah. He used a local name, Ah Quang, but even so, his appearance was different, drew attention at the military checkpoint. The defenses were serious. A 100-meter steep slope just to get in, soldiers everywhere with AK-47s. The pastor himself admitted feeling unprecedented fear. He knew the risks. Ransom, slave labor, maybe just being killed. No chance of rescue out there.
I can't even imagine that level of fear. How did he get out?
Miraculously, apparently. A sudden, really heavy rain started pouring down. It forced the rebels to scatter and take shelter. In that moment, a local co-worker, an Aka tribesman, quickly led the pastor to a dorm. He had just 30 minutes to share a message and pray with some people there. Then as soon as the rain lessened slightly, they were swiftly escorted back out, just in and out during that window of chaos caused by the rain.
That's incredible. Just unbelievable stories. The fear, especially in that rebel base, it must have been overwhelming. How does someone square that kind of fear with conviction to stay, to keep doing that work?
It's a profound question, isn't it? And it connects beautifully to this biblical concept our sources highlight, the 10 verses 2 mindset from the book of Numbers. Remember the story. Moses sends 12 spies, leaders, to scout out Canaan, the promised land.
Right, the 12 spies.
10 of them come back totally freaked out. They focus on the obstacles, the giants, the fortified cities. They give an evil report, basically saying, we're like grasshoppers compared to them. Their fear spreads. The people weep, complain, want to go back to Egypt. And that fear-based perspective, it meant their whole generation died in the wilderness. Those 10 spies themselves died from a plague.
Such a negative outcome from fear.
Exactly. But then you have the other 2 spies, Caleb and Joshua. They saw the same things, but they had a different perspective, rooted in faith. They saw opportunity. They said the enemies were like food for them. They had another spirit, encouraged immediate action, trusting God's promise. And their perspective, it led them through the wilderness. They actually entered the promised land. Caleb famously gets Hebron, a really key place later on.
Wow. So the same situation, but a totally different viewpoint leads to a totally different destiny.
Precisely. It powerfully illustrates how perspective faith versus fear fundamentally shapes your outcome.
It's amazing how that ancient story resonates so strongly with these modern experiences of danger. So how did the pastor frame his own survival through all that?
Well, he definitely didn't see it as him being brave or skilled. He saw his survival purely as God's grace, divine preservation. That was his takeaway. And despite facing those extreme dangers, he expressed willingness to keep doing mission work, which really points to something beyond just rational calculation, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
There's this extraordinary inner drive, this meaning pursuit that makes someone knowingly put themselves in harm's way for like 20 years. It shows a kind of courage, wisdom, resolve that's, well, not ordinary, especially when facing the unknown. Kind of like how the pandemic showed us how vulnerable we are to unseen things, but also brought out amazing courage in people.
We've covered so much ground, from the details of true piety, the profound nature of friendship with God, and this incredible resolve people find when facing extreme danger, from Proverbs right through to the intense experiences of a modern missionary. It seems really clear. Your perspective, your convictions, they hold immense power.
Absolutely. Today, we've really seen how these seemingly unconnected stories all point to a deep truth. The journey of faith. It's not really about dodging challenges. It's about how you choose to see them, how you engage with them. It's about embracing humility, seeking that genuine connection, finding the courage to act on your beliefs, even when it costs you, personally, maybe extraordinarily. It just reminds us that ultimately, God is sovereign. And being his friend, that's an unearned privilege. It calls back to humility, back to obedience.
So here's something to maybe chew on.
Think about that connection between Caleb getting Hebron, the very place King David was later crowned, and those seemingly small choices he made. Choices of faith, of courage, when almost everyone else was ruled by fear. It kind of suggests, doesn't it, even when you feel like you're in the minority, the actions you take, fueled by faith, they might be quietly setting the stage for something much bigger down the road, something significant you can't even see yet. So the question for you is maybe, what seemingly small, faith-filled choices are you making today that could be shaping a future far beyond what you can currently imagine?